Good evening, Nathaniel Gavronsky here, and I want to talk to you all about something that most of you probably haven't heard anything about, and that is the GOP walkout in the state of Oregon. Now, this walkout has to do with a couple of bills that before the Senate, which the session would end on the 25th here of June, about access to abortion, mostly by minor children without parental consent, also mandating care for, and sex changes for people under the age of 18, also again without parental care. A couple of key things about this. If you compare this, what happened in Texas a few years ago, when the Democrats said that they were walking out because they were trying to protect the citizens of Texas, they were actually trying to promote the mutilation of children. They were trying to promote the death of innocents, while here in Oregon, we're looking at the GOP trying to protect the lives of those that can't speak for themselves. And understand something, in the state of Oregon, the age of consent for a minor is so if you were to be involved with a minor sexually, if you would fondle them or touch them or even ask to see pictures of them, you would go to jail. However, if you want to mutilate those same body parts, you would be a huge supporter of these bills. And I think that is a problem. If we look at the children saying, well, they're not able to, they're not the age of consent. They don't have the choice of consenting to sexual behavior or with someone that's even 3 years older than they are. You're going to let someone who's 40 or 50 years older than they are mutilate those same body parts? I think that's kind of hypocritical. When you look at it, a lot of these people, not all of them, but darn near almost, don't complete the transition. The Atlantic magazine did a study on this a couple of years ago and shows that most of these people don't complete the transition. A lot of them get a quarter or halfway through, and some of them, the most unfortunate, get 3/4 of the way through, and just they can't. Whatever they thought this was going to help, it's gotten worse, and so they try to go back, and they can't. They tried to do this at an age that was way too young. They weren't really for sure just exactly where their head was at in this. A lot of them never sought out actually any other therapy other than gender affirming care. They've only gotten gender affirming without ever asking, is there something else going on? And that's a problem when you're seeing all this promotion on the West Coast. I mean, the West Coast has a much, much higher percentage of these people than anywhere else in the country. If you look at California and Ohio, there's a vastly different percentage, even per capita, that something is going wrong here. And there's no questions being asked of, is this actually long-term beneficial to these people? So the GOP, what happened is there's a new law in Oregon that says if you have so many unexcused absences from the legislature that you were ineligible to run for re-election. Thing is, though, is that the majority has the determination to determine what is an excused and an unexcused absence. So there have been people who had previously excused absences that are now being declared unexcused. They're also fining them over $300 a day for not showing up or not participating to create a forum in the Senate for these bills to go through. There is a negotiation, mind you, with the majority in the Senate, the Democrats, and with the governor, trying to soften the language as far as the consent of parents and with minor children. You understand that we're going to have to figure this out on a national level eventually, but if a person is not of age to consent to sexual behavior, then trying to mutilate those same body parts should be just equally offensive to everybody. And there's a big difference between what the Democrats are doing, what the Republicans are doing compared to Texas and here in Oregon. Oregon, they're trying to protect the lives of those who can't speak for themselves, and they're trying to prevent the mutilation of children before they're able to actually really understand the consequences of their actions. Also, there's also a gun bill that's before the Oregon Senate. Basically, if I held up a piece of metal and I could say, well, this piece of metal could become a gun, it could become a spoon, but this this block of metal could become anything, but potentially it could also become a gun that could be seen as being illegal. Just that hunk of metal that is not anything could be a felony in Oregon, basically because of what they want to do with the anti-gun laws. Now, I understand the problem with ghost guns, but saying that just a hunk of metal which could potentially be made into a receiver, upper or lower of a gun, is illegal, you're going to run into a lot of problems, because define what type of metal cannot be used for a gun. Are you going to see entire, shelves at Menards and Lowe's and Home Depot and other types of True Values and all the other types of hardware stores? Are all the metal on those shelves going to be seen as being potentially guns, and therefore all those companies should be cited with felonies for potentially having a ghost gun? So the negotiations are trying to soften the languages in all these bills, but understand that the GOP in Oregon put their jobs on the line to protect the voices of the unborn and to protect minors from mutilation and to protect your Second Amendment rights. So I hope everyone across the country realizes that the front line on these battles is being fought heavily by the Oregon GOP to try to protect those rights and parental rights and to protect the lives of our children. I hope everyone knows this and actually pays some attention and gives credit to the Oregon GOP for their hard work on these issues. This is Nathaniel Gavronsky. Please like, subscribe, and share this video. Please comment, and please support the Oregon GOP. Stay healthy, stay wealthy, and as always, stay wise, Oregon.